Undisclosed user says, do you think we are in a recession and more and more people are losing jobs? What's your opinion on where we are going and the suffering to come? Recession is not a matter of whether someone thinks you're in a recession or not. That's kind of pretty easy to determine based on economic indicators. But isn't it like 2 quarters in a row where your GDP declines? I think is that the definition? I think that's the definition. It's something like that. So it's pretty damn simple to say, are you in a recession or not, right? You can't call it early and say, well, I think it feels like we're in a recession, even though it hasn't been 2 quarters yet. Technically, you're not until that definition holds, right? And the problem is that if people start thinking like that, then everybody's got an opinion and there is no right answer. In some industries, they might be experiencing a decline. In others, they might be experiencing a boom. There's a few sort of things you can go to that, in one sense, don't lie. Things like the stock market. You can go look up the Dow, Now, you know what? Just for the sheer hell of it, let's do that here. So this is the Dow. Now, this is 1 day. That doesn't really matter. 5 days, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year. Okay, so it's come down quite a bit, but it's still higher than what it was a year ago. So if you look at that as an indicator, obviously that's not the thing that determines whether you're in a recession, but it's one of the indicators that can give you an idea how things are going, right? Because this is not people's opinions that they will express. It's not some political kind of statement meant to influence people. This is where they're putting their money, And this is in particular the American economy, right? So if you care about the American economy, that's one very simple indicator. Like I just pulled it up in like literally 2 seconds. That can help you see where you are, right? But like, for example, let me show you something just in case you don't know. I know a lot of people know this already, but this is the 5-year plan. So 2020, this was like kind of COVID territory, right? It kind of came up, it sort of steadied out. And then 2024, it just went right up. And now it's sort of coming back down a bit from recent developments. So, that's one of the indicators when it comes to determining how we're doing before you wait for the official 2 quarters or whatever it is to determine if you're actually in a recession or not. There you go. There's my economic advice 101 from someone who isn't an economist. Sort of my personal philosophy for this kind of stuff is like whether you're getting a job or not, or whether you're doing some stuff in business, you're trying to succeed in business. The economy and everything is your industry. It's always going up and going down. I mean, that's just a fact. Things go up, things go down to varying degrees, but they're not going to stay down forever and they're not going to stay up forever. There's always going to be that movement, right? And built into this system is the fact that no one can really predict, because if someone could, they'd be able to rig the whole thing in their favor, and you would see them because you would recognize them because they become billionaires overnight and then they just keep growing, right? Like a game of poker or something. If you could rig the game, the immediate sign is that you would just win and win and win and win and win and you'd never lose, right? The theory is that you can't predict it. That's the whole point. You can find very good ways of trying to predict it, but no one can actually predict it. The moment somebody can predict it, it doesn't make any sense anymore to even have this, right? So no one would play the game if you knew that someone had hacked it, right? The moment it comes out that someone has hacked it, then everyone stops playing. So it's going to go up, it's going to go down. Whether you're looking for a job or whether you're trying to succeed in business, you have to be able to succeed despite the current economic conditions. You don't have control over the economic conditions, right? So you have to sort of make a plan that's independent of the economy. So you would have your first choice, your second choice, your third choice, right? And I know some people really pay attention to like, oh no, the job market is down like 2 points this month, or it's up 2 points. I think that's irrelevant. You still have the same problem. You still have to elevate yourself above all the other job seekers to get a job. Don't shoot the messenger, but that's the reality. So the more you work on your technique and the further afield you look, and the more methods, the more vectors, whatever you want to call them, you have to find a job, the better. It doesn't change what you have to do. You always have to do the same things anyway. So don't worry about this stuff. Don't be looking at the stock market and the economy every single day and getting all depressed about it. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. Just do the best you can at learning how to get a job. The discovery phase, what you would call ideation, where you try and, where can I look for jobs? I can apply for jobs, but what else can I do? Work on that. And then work on presenting yourself in the best possible way. And then whether it's, out competing people on qualifications or passing all the interview stuff, which is not based on qualifications, based on likability and enthusiasm and making a good impression. Work on that stuff. That's a lot of personal skills. Something you may have noticed in life is that people who have a lot of personal skills to do with communication skills, conversational skills, public speaking skills, they have a lot of charisma, they can talk to people, they are connected, they tend to win, right? Now, you don't have to sell your soul and try and be like that if you're not like that. Maybe you're like me, you're an introvert, right? You don't have to jump in and be exactly like them, far from it. But you need to learn basic things like making a good impression. Doesn't matter if you're an introvert or an extrovert, you got to make a good impression if you want people to pick you. You don't know a million people, that's fine, but you at least learn how to reach out to the people that have the power to hire you. That's a very useful skill for everyone. That's what I would say. And regardless of if you're in a recession or not, you should win out with those skills. It might take a little longer if you're in a recession, but you'll still win.